Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split Pick Show for the massive pay-per-view event coming up this Saturday night, UFC 277, headlined by a rematch. We've got the run-it-back fight of Amanda Nunes taking on Juliana Pena. First time round, Pena pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the history of MMA when she defeated the undisputed GOAT Amanda Nunes and became the bantamweight champion. Nunes is certainly not going to give up her belt that easily, though. She is back to reclaim what she feels is rightfully hers. Obviously, she's still coming in as the featherweight champion, so we have got a champion versus champion matchup. And these are the two coaches of the Ultimate Fighter this season. So we've had a solid 12 weeks of build up and then being around each other and pissing each other off and all of that good stuff. It's not the only title fight we've got either. Co-main event is the interim title fight for the interim flyweight men's championship, which will be fought between Brandon Moreno taking on Kai Kara France. This really should have been Moreno versus Figgy 4, but it is what it is. It's still a great fight. It is also a rematch of a 3-round fight from back at UFC 245. Plus, also on the card, we've got Anthony Smith taking on Magomed Ankalaev. God, getting all sorts of names wrong today, aren't I? And plenty of other interesting matchups as well. Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich. With me to talk about all of the fights and help give picks and predictions and break everything down ahead of this big card is producer Josh, who, as you will notice, like me, is also wearing the same clothes as the breakdown and news videos because we have recorded everything on the same day. It is not because we are dirty people. That is just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Josh, somebody's missing. He's been missing all day. We know he wasn't available, so he can't be part of the pick show. That is Sly. We do, however, have his picks, and he is, of course, coming in having won last week's pick show. So, can you bring up the scoreboard? Do we have the scoreboard available?
Alright, let me stick it up there. So, just 1.5 points in it right now. Squeaky bum time, as they say. I would much prefer to have a 3 or 4 point lead, but it is what it is.
However upset I am at Sly winning, I am not upset that your 3-week winning streak has been broken. I felt that needed to happen. So, all to play for. All to play for this year. This week, and this year, obviously. Long day, please do forgive me. We didn't do very well on the picks last week, even though Sly ended up winning. It wasn't really our best showing, which tends to happen when we're all too similar. I think that was the key. There was only like a 1 or 2 fight difference between all of us. When that happens, we're either very right or we are very wrong. In this case, we were pretty wrong. The good news is that I think we've all gone really differently for this card. Like, I don't think any of our picks are particularly similar.
Yeah, I didn't do too bad last week. The Aspinall one did burn me a bit at the end. It wasn't my strongest week, though. Yeah, this week, I haven't really compared my picks against the rest of you. Other than knowing that I'm going Pavlovich and you're going Lewis.
Yeah, and I don't feel good about that Lewis pick either.
Well, don't change it. I want the separation.
Oh, I'm keeping it, but I'm just saying that I can understand that Pavlovich pick from you. I feel very nervous on a few of mine. I'll say this, maybe not the massive name value all the way through the prelims and all the rest we've seen on some of the more recent pay-per-view cards, but the matchmaking on this is fucking outstanding. Trying to pick some of these fights, it's a coin flip.
Yeah, there are some tough ones here. Really interesting as well. We've got Alessandro Pantoja, who in the Ultimate Fighter House actually beat both Kai Kara France and Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
I kind of like that little wrinkle in there.
And also, isn't this Alex Perez's first fight back since he lost to Figgy in the title?
Yeah, man. 2 years ago? 2.5 years ago? It's been a fucking while, man. It has been too long. And
what's your excitement factor for this card?
8 or 9. Yeah, pretty high. Can't say 10 for everything. You sound like an idiot.
No.
I'd say 8.
How much of that is due to the main event?
It's pretty much entirely down to the main and the co-main. if I'm honest. Other fights that I am kind of hyped for. Well, everything on the main card solid. The main card's a 9 out of 10.
I'd agree with
Prelims
that.
decent. It depends how they play out, but there's some real interesting matchups here, and I'll give that a 7 out of 10. So I'll kind of average it out to an 8. Makes about as much sense as anything else. Do
I'm
you
with
know
you on the card.
what's that?
I'm with you on the card for an 8 out of 10. I'd say 8 out of 10 overall. I don't know. It's the co-main event though that's got me really excited. Really, really excited. The main event, I don't see. I You didn't watch the Ultimate Fighter this season, did you?
I'm catching up. I've only seen the first episode so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just been a really crappy couple of months. Just absolutely rammed, and the Ultimate
Well,
Fighter has kind of been superseded by Contender Series in terms of keeping an eye out for future talent. So it's
yeah.
just not as exciting as it used to be.
It's. I don't want to ruin anything here. I didn't think it was the most enthralling season, and it didn't feel like all of the fighters were really at a UFC kind of level. If I'm honest, there's a couple of people. I won't say anything. There's some that I thought were really good. There's others that I just thought, why are you here? Like you literally just feel like they were desperate for the numbers. So I don't know if that really helped or hindered my hype for this a little bit. I was hoping to watch The Ultimate Fighter and come out of it really hyped, and that's not necessarily the thought that I have. And as we'll go into when we discuss the fight, I don't know how good of a fight we're going to have in that main event. Whereas the co-main event, I feel 100% is going to be an absolute barnstormer. But this is the pick show. We start from the top, we work our way down to the bottom, and we need to start with this main event. It is the rematch. It is Amanda versus Pena 2. When Pena won the belt off Amanda in December, it was an absolute jaw open, you can't believe what you've just seen moment. And it followed a first round where, I mean, really, she got our absolute arse kicked. It looked like it was standard business as usual from Amanda, and then everything turned on a dime piece. What's your thoughts on this one immediately, Josh? And what do you feel like Nunes needs to do to turn around this result?
To be honest, kind of what she's been doing in terms of the preparation, anyway. Building her own gym, really making it her own. She has her own kind of like room at the gym, so she doesn't even have to go home between sessions. She's being selfish. She's doing what she needs to do. She's putting a pin in the family life, living in the gym. She's always had, from what I understand, kind of like a sporadic kind of training schedule, not super rigid. And I think that from what I've heard, her living at the gym like this has actually kind of been the better. It's just meant more training. It's just meant better organisation, and just kind of, like Tony Ferguson was saying, making it champ shit only. So I think she's switched on for this one. I think she's coming out ready. I don't want to snooze on Pena. I feel like I tried to give her a little bit of love when we made the picks the first time round, but all of us thought Nunes was just going to run through her. Now we know that can go either way. I just don't think Nunes is going to gas like she did. She's not going to get stunned like she did. I just think it's going to be a completely different fight. How are you seeing it, Matt?
Well, I have questions over Nunes at her current age at bantamweight. Her last two performances at bantamweight are not particularly good. She lost to Pena, and the fight against Jermaine Durant was hard fucking work. She had some bad moments in that fight. She won it. She technically won every round, but she had to fight through a lot of adversity. It wasn't necessarily going her way on the feet. She had bad moments on the ground as well. Almost got knocked out with a nut kick. Almost submitted with a triangle. At featherweight, she looks unbeatable. I think her body shape, I don't know how well it went back to bantamweight once she had that cyborg fight at featherweight. I think that's where she felt more comfortable. I think her body wants to have that extra weight on at her age, and it's raised questions to me. The other question I've got is that in all of the fights that she's had, the only person that's really pressured her and stuck in there and done what Penny was able to do, that I've seen at least, was when she fought Katzengano. And she's lost both of those fights. I think there's a certain style that she doesn't handle very well. And I worry that the time at featherweight, the age, she still has the power, but does she have the speed? Because I felt one thing Pena did very well, but she's nowhere near as good of a striker. But she was just landing these sharper, straight shots, just looking to touch up every time Nunes was looking to wind up. And really, that's one of the big factors that massively gassed Nunes and led to the finish. And without a fight in between to see a difference, I just have a worry that all of these different factors, family, distraction, age, really feeling more comfortable at featherweight, the weight cut, the moving of the gyms, this particular style, it just makes me think that this could be one of those moments where, and we see it in MMA, where a maybe less talented fighter beats a long-standing champion and then wins the rematch just because they just have that thing that it's the right time, it's the right moment, it's the right style. I think Pena does it again.
It's possible. It is possible. I haven't seen the betting line on this one actually. Let me
I
bring it
haven't
up.
seen the back of it. That'll be interesting.
Nunes is the favourite, minus 250. Early in the week, of course, so kind of hard to tell. But it's not like a huge gap anyway. That's not quite heavy favourite. That's just sort of moderate. Yeah, I kind of know what you
I
mean.
feel
I kind of see like her losses rather than being stylistic, being more of a was your heart really in it all the way through camp? And yeah, I
well,
think
that's a factor as well.
that's the thing. I think there have been fights in her reign as champion in camps where maybe she wasn't all the way in, and from the sounds of it, and obviously you coming into the fight, you're going to be saying you're ready for it. But it does kind of sound like she's really turned on for this one. So
In many ways, I think a lot of this could depend on what Pena's mentality is, because we've seen people become unlikely champions and get the belts, and that's it. They've done it. They can't quite believe they've done it. They're happy to be champ. They know they got a little bit lucky, and we don't really see them particularly competitive in their first defense because they kind of just know that like maybe that was the final destination for them. Maybe they do know that it's just that they did get a bit lucky and they're going to enjoy it while they can. But then you get the Robbie Lawlers of the world, where being that champion brings this new level out of them, where this guy that probably never should have been good enough to be a champ on ability just gets this something about him that leads to two of the greatest title fights of all times against guys that were probably technically better than him. But I think that champ confidence gave him an extra element. And the way that Penny has carried herself as champ, I just feel she might be one of those people, man. It's like maybe she needed that stamp of approval to really believe that she can be the best and to have that kind of swag and confidence to bring the best out of herself. But
maybe.
maybe it's the other way. Maybe she's been distracted. Maybe she sips a bit too much of her own Kool Aid. I think her mentality is going to be very interesting going into this. And obviously, Nunes coming in as the challenger. Was the crown heavy? Were you complacent? Will you not be the same when you don't have that swag as the champ? It's a lot of questions, and that uncertainty has shifted me away from picking Nunes, which I thought I was immediately going to do when this fight was announced. And now, and it's happened, I picked Senia, and I picked her by sub.
Yeah, I've gone Nunes by sub. I think Pena's going to look to take it down. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of action on the mat, particularly if the fight goes long. So, and Sly's gone Nunes KO.
He has indeed. So I knew I was going to be the only Pena person here, but if I'd done that for the last two cards, where we were all united on the main event, I would have won the last two picks. So maybe it will pay off in the long run. We shall find out. I think it's about time we move on to the co-main event, don't you?
Yes, yeah. Title fights for everyone.
Straight off the bat, what's your thoughts on just the fact that this fight is happening? Why is it an interim title fight? Why aren't we getting Figgy versus Moreno for?
Uh, Obviously, Walid Ismail has been sacked by Figgy. Figgy's trying to pin a lot of this on his manager. His manager's saying Figgy's a big piece of shit. Um, I would love to have seen the fourth fight. Doesn't matter. I think we're gonna see it at some point, even if Kai Kara France does win this one. So I have no problems with it. They do interim titles too often, but now you're kind of expecting them to do them at the drop of a hat. So yeah, why the fuck not?
I don't. I'm not a fan of interim title fights if it hasn't been a year of the champion not defending his belt. The only thing I would say is I thought that fight, the third fight with Figgy and Moreno, was so fucking close. You almost can't say that Moreno doesn't at least deserve to feel like he's kind of a champion. You know, he's champion level without a doubt. He could have got the nod on that night. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's uh, it's a good fight. It's a very good fight. I just don't. I know that there's been contract issues, and that seems to be their go-to now. Is if a champ gets funny with the contract, boom, straight away, interim title fight. It's almost like an automatic kind of move that they do now. I do feel it illegitimizes interim champions though, and I'm somebody that believes that an interim champion is a legitimate champion.
in other organizations, yes. In the UFC, since I guess kind of since like Conor McGregor, they've they've just been getting a little too trigger happy with the interim fights and the interim titles.
Sometimes yes, but
It's
I
been
will
it's been
make
a
it.
long time since they were doing this right, in my opinion.
At lightweight, their hand has been forced many a time. They had the Conor McGregor situation, where, as far as I'm concerned, Tony Ferguson should be considered a champion because the champ was not there for that fucking long. Um, Khabib getting banned for a year, they had no choice but to do an interim title. I'm completely fine with that. Obviously, when the pandemic hit and Khabib couldn't fight, they were running around. Okay, maybe that didn't need to be an interim title. That's the one I'd say was a bit unnecessary. But like the Cyril Gane one was dumb. This one's kind of dumb. They've had some dumb ones. They've had some really dumb ones recently.
I kind of go back to McGregor Mendes. It didn't need to be an interim bout, you know. Aldo pulls out of the fight, reschedule the fight. They want to make that McGregor money. McGregor wants to take that fight, so okay, interim title fight, keep McGregor happy. They did it to keep him happy, and ever since then, it has kind of been a case that they realised that as much as fans and media kind of look down on it, ultimately no one can stop them doing it, and it just increases their bottom line. So
True. Well, I disagree with it, but I'm a Brandon Moreno fan. I'm a Kai Kara France fan. I'm happy to see the guys fighting for gold. I'm happy to know that they'll get a massive pay bump in their next fight if they win that belt. And it's a fucking great matchup, man. Let's talk about their first fight back at UFC 245. Moreno won. It'd be very easy to think that because of that he's got the advantage here, and I'd imagine he's probably the favourite. I don't know if he's still got the odds up.
yeah, again, just a moderate favourite. Too early in the week, but ultimately it's just it's quite close where it's like -200. And I
Their
think
first fight was.
oh, sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this early in the week, betting line like that, and it's the former champ, and he won the previous fight. That's pretty much all I think people are looking at. Kai Kara France is looking as good as he has ever looked.
Big improvements. Big improvements. Not the same guy. And in that first fight with Moreno, it's about 3 years ago, long enough ago that Kai's made dramatic changes and improvements in strides since then. So has Moreno, to be fair. But Kai won the first round, and really Moreno took over after that. The interesting thing is nobody tried to grapple. There was no takedown defense. It was a total on the feet fight. Kai's never gone 5 rounds. I think that might have an effect. He hasn't got the grappling threat. That's something Moreno can lean into as well. And I do think that Moreno can kind of. This isn't actually my thought. This is something that I saw Dan Hardy talking about. But Moreno can create chaos very well. He's so good at scrambles. He's so good at mixing everything together. His jiu-jitsu is very opportunistic and effective. He can create chaos and come out on top of that. Kai Kara France can struggle if it gets a little bit too chaotic in the scrambles. That I think will be a factor, and I do wonder whether or not the title experience, the fact that you've been 5 rounds before, the experiences fighting Figueredo, I do think Moreno is going to come in more experienced, more ready for the occasion. That does not mean Kai Kara France cannot get this done. And Moreno's biggest mistake, in my opinion, would be to think that he's fighting the same guy he fought 3 years ago.
Do you think he'll make that mistake, having seen sort of three different shades of Figgy in quick succession? I think the guy just understands every fight's a new fight. But yeah, I definitely take it that Moreno, even though Kai Kara France is in form, Moreno's been looking fucking fantastic in 5 round fights, looking durable. He's not going to get bullied around. I don't think he's going to feel that power from Kai Kara France and then kind of shy away at all. I just think Moreno's going to bring it, and if this goes the distance, which I suspect it will, I just don't see a way that Moreno doesn't get his hand raised.
It's just the little differences, isn't it? It's the little things that he does a little bit better. It's a bit bigger, it's better at grappling. I think the boxing is a little bit more crisp. Like Kai Kara France is a great striker, but because he's quite small and he's very fast, you see a lot of overhand left hook combos. And I don't necessarily think Moreno is going to be caught by that. Maybe in the first round as he's making adjustments, but I think he's going to be able to figure that out. His boxing is so good, man. Like he was boxing before he even knew what MMA was. You know, he understands how to guard, he understands head movement, he knows how to fight on the inside, and he's always got that grappling threat. You know, there's punches he'll be able to land and the distance he'll be able to be comfortable in that Kai Kara France won't have available to him because he'll have to be conscious of the fact that the takedown might be coming. It's a good fucking fight, man, though. It's a really good fight. I think both guys are coming in super confident. I think that's going to make it fun, even though Moreno's coming in off a loss. He's coming in off a loss against the champ. He was so good in that fight. If anything, it was 10 seconds at the end of the third round. That's the only difference between him being the champ and not being the champ right now.
Yeah, uh, just quickly going back though, because it does feel a little bit like we've got Moreno, Kai Kara France kind of looking for the bigger shots, and Moreno kind of understanding the cleaner combinations of what's going to get it done. You will score immediate damage over cumulative damage, but when the cumulative damage outweighs the immediate damage so badly across a 5 round fight, it doesn't make a fucking difference. But I think Kai Kara France has got to come in with a more patient game plan. I don't think Bauman's going to be letting him do anything too crazy in the first round. I think it's going to be feel him out, dictate the pace, just keep it a little slower, and try and create those opportunities where you can take Moreno out of his comfort zone a little bit and try and land a big shot and then get out again. But 70% power at most first couple of rounds, because 5 rounds is a lot. Coming in for an interim championship, we can talk about how real or unreal it isn't. For these guys, it's real as shit. So Kai Kara France, he's got a little bit of a mountain to climb in terms of approaching it with a slower pace, not getting too excited, not getting too worked up, not letting the adrenaline get to him. Moreno's been there, seen it. So it's going to be a great fucking fight. I think there's going to be some big moments, but I just see Moreno kind of just schooling Kai Kara France on what those championship rounds are really like.
Well, so I think the problem is you look at Kai Kara France's last 3 wins. You know, the Bonsterin fight, the Cody Garbrandt fight, and then obviously the what's his name? Askarov fight. The chin that Moreno has on him, it's a different ballgame. He will not be out the fight if you land that big shot that's won you and turned the tables in those other fights. Either got you the finish in fights that you were being dominated in, or being able to, in the case of Garbrandt, hit somebody who's pretty chinny and get a pretty easy night. Moreno's taken Figgy's best shots, man. I don't. I could see maybe a knockdown, but I just don't see. I don't see Kyra France catching him. You see what I mean? I don't, and I think he will catch it, but I don't think it will be enough to put him out.
No,
And I think
he'll
he
be able to counter.
needs to put him
Moreno
out.
will come in with nice. He'll engage. He'll create exchanges, and he'll hit in volume. And some of them will be nasty shots, but he'll be able to land three or four good ones, and Kai might be able to get in one really great one. But yeah, it's. I don't think he's going to be able to put him down or anything. I think we're just going to get some big moments, some nice highlights. How are you going on this one? Which way you? I know you're going Moreno, but what are you saying for method?
I think I said sub. Let me confirm.
Yeah, sub.
Yeah, I said sub. I said sub. I tell you why. I think the Cara France Brandon Royval fight. Moreno's got that in him. He's got that ability to just create chaos and pull at submissions from nowhere, and make something happen in it. In the middle of nothing. Kai Cara France, I think I can see him getting hurt, and then Moreno jumping on his back. I can see something like
Yeah,
that. Him sinking in the rear naked choke.
it's not a bad shout. Sly's going Kai Kara France by knockout. I think he's reaching on that one.
Listen, it's when I say that I think Moreno should win, I wouldn't be. It's not like my mind would be blown if Cara France was. It's one of those divisions. There's a speed factor that I want in Cara France. The Garbrandt fight, Garbrandt just couldn't handle the fucking speed. And that's the one thing I wonder about, because obviously they're all fast at flyweight. But I don't think Moreno's quite as explosively quick as Cara France. Aside from that, I think this is Moreno's all day.
Yeah. So I'm starting to lose my voice now.
I'm here.
Then we're gonna have to
What was
move
your
on a
method?
lot quicker. I'll go in decision.
Okay, well, let's talk about our feature fight, and we'll be a bit more quick, and then we'll just run through the prelims very fast. Derek Lewis is back, and in true Derek Lewis fashion, he gets within either a title shot or a fight of a title shot, and then he will lose two in a row, and then kind of end up fighting unranked guys again and have to work his way back. This is now his third run of doing this. We saw this after he lost to DC, lost his next fight against JDS, had to fight your Ivanovs and your Latifis and build himself back up till he got the interim title shot, which then he lost. Didn't lose his follow-up fight in that situation. He actually beat Daukus and somebody else. Who else did he beat?
No, it was after Dorcas. He had Taito Ivasa, where last
Got
fight
it.
was
So he had
lost. Yeah.
one fight in between, which he has now lost. So we're back at unranked guys. I would love. This is a really hard fight for him. Sergey Pavlovich is 15-1. He's not the same as the other guys they gave him when he was sort of trying to work his way up. This feels more like we've got Ty now. You're 37. Do you really still have it, or do we want to start propping up some younger heavyweights off your name value? I almost picked Pavlovich as a result of this. In the end, I haven't, because I still think Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis. I don't think anything about his game has changed. I still think he's got the power. He's not lost any relevant speed. And the guy just loves to fight, man. So I don't know if a tough defeat to the number 3 guy affects him in the same way. And the big advantage he's got here is that we're not in Houston.
Yeah, it does make a difference for Derek, doesn't it?
It's his curse, man.
Yeah.
The last 2 fights he's lost were both in Houston. He doesn't fight well in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, he's also getting older. Pavlovich, aside from the loss to Overeem's perfect and has looked a fucking monster. I think, oh man, it can go either way. This is a hard one to pick. I've gone Pavlovich by KO.
I can see that, and I certainly don't blame you. I almost went so myself, but it's Lewis, man. I've got to stick with the guy who's won me so much money. It's Lewis by KO for me. I'm with Sly on this one. We're both Lewis by KOs.
Nice.
Next up, another flyweight fight. Very intelligently booked in case anybody gets injured for the interim fight. One of these two guys can slot in. And we have got Pantoja, who has a win over both of the guys fighting in the interim title fight, taking on Alex Perez, who is returning after almost, I think, over 2 years out at this point, coming off the loss in his one and only title shot against Figueredo. What's your thoughts straight away on this one, Josh?
Ring rust is real. Perez, good prospect. First contender series guy to get a title shot. But ultimately, I think it might have been. It was a little too much for him at the time. It would have been good to see him stay active. He's had so many fights cancelled. It would have been good if he could have been active. Pantoja is exactly the kind of guy you want to be coming back and fighting. You know, a really decent guy, but on paper, technically a winnable fight. It's just I can't quite look past Pantoja on this one. I think
Um,
Perez is it's too long out. It's too long out to come out back up at this level.
I'm with you on this one 100%, man. My logic is Pantoja's been putting in good work while Alex Perez has been away. And I kind of felt like Alex Perez was kind of rushed to begin with. I thought he was rushed into that title shot in terms of number of fights he'd had in the UFC, in terms of his overall fight experience. It was a short notice booking anyway as a replacement for Garbrandt the first time. It just doesn't feel like he is where he should be in the division. And Pantoja's a real fucking guy. And I think he's disciplined enough that he's just going to give the younger Alex Perez all the kind of problems he's not ready to deal with. I think I said decision. I might have said something.
Well, you said Pantoja decision.
Decision. I did say
We've gone the
decision.
same, and Sly splitting the difference has gone Perez decision.
Which takes us to our card opener and my personal favourite fight that doesn't have a title connected to it on this card. Personal fan, personal fan favourites, awesome dude, one half of the Believe You Me podcast, and general, all around top human being, Anthony Smith. A man that I want to see nothing but successful in life and his career, is fighting a fucking monster. And I have wrestled in my mind. I have watched him talk about this fight while he has appeared on the Believe You Me podcast numerous times. And he is wonderfully confident. And that is fantastic. He does not seem the same monster that everybody else sees, which is good because you're about to have to fight this monster. So I'm glad that you feel this way. You've also done a lot of media. I mean, you've literally done the desk at every single UFC event. And they have been in multiple locations, including fucking Singapore, Texas, New York, Vegas. My man, you have been doing a lot of flying around. You went on holiday with your family. I just, I don't know. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe he's figured out overtraining is his worst enemy. But I just look at him thinking, you're fighting a monster, man. Like with everything, like every box checked, I would still think this is such a hard fight for you. And it doesn't, I'm not getting that impression. And I hate to say that because I fucking love Anthony Smith. But what's your thoughts on this one?
Ankalaev probably isn't as good as people hype him up to be, but he is still fucking terrific. Anthony Smith is a top level. He's a world class fighter. Um, I think Ankalaev's going to be quicker. Obviously, he's going to be stronger. He's probably going to be better on the feet in the closer quarters. I think Smith might be able to have a bit of success with sort of low kicks and getting in and out. Excuse me, I'm really struggling now. Mostly though, fuck, I don't want to pick Ankalaev over Smith, but I want to win the pick week, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Ankalaev decision.
I'm in the same situation, mate.
I think it's gonna
I
be a
don't want
shit
to pick.
fight. I think it's gonna be quite tepid. I think both guys don't want to lose this one. Really don't want to lose this one.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of it, but on paper, I'm like, yeah, this is a great fucking booking. It's just that's kind of my suspicion. That's how I feel it's going to pay out.
I've said on this podcast many times that the way that you can get to a title at light heavyweight is the way that involves you not fighting Ankalaev on the way there. I was hoping Anthony Smith might avoid it. I was really hoping, but the way everything matched up, it was the fight that was left for him. And I don't want to lose these fucking picks, so I'm going Ankalaev decision. Sly is going Ankalaev KO. He just has no faith in Anthony. It is what it
Just
is.
doesn't like the carpool line.
He does not know. In the interest of time and Josh's throat, we're going to run through these
Thank
very
you.
quickly on the prelims. So just say your pick and your method, and that's it. Alex Moreno taking on Matthew Semmelsberger in the welterweight division. Fucking great headliner of prelims, and I'm picking Semi the Jedi by decision, I believe.
Yeah, depends which Moreno turns up. Probably more talented, but I just got to say semi decision, and yeah, Sly's going semi KO.
Just doesn't want a carpool. Just
Doesn't
does
want
not want a
to
fucking carpool. Following that, we have got Drew Dober taking on Rafael Alves, and I'm picking Drew Dober to win this by KO.
Samesies KO, and would Sly want a carpool? No, Alves sub.
Alves sub, giving Drew Dober no credit. People don't understand how good that guy is. Dontel Mays was meant to be fighting Justin Taffer, but Taffer can't make it, so now he is fighting Hamdi Abdel Wahab, who is undefeated. And just for the fact that he is undefeated and has a fantastic name to say that I would like to say again, I am picking Hamdi Abdel Wahab by decision.
I am going with Mays by KO. Uh, Sly is going with Taffer, so I assume he's going to have to resubmit that pick. Probably having trouble
We
with the weight
will
cut.
we will resubmit that pick for him as Hamdi Abdel Wahab by decision, since he picked the opponent of Dontel Mays. It only seems fair. But we will give him an opportunity to change that, which we will confirm next week. But for the pick show, that's his pick.
Yeah, last time we
Lightweight.
when he fucks up a pick, but
Possible sleeper for fight of the night because Drakkar Close is taking on Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia had a bit of a rough run when he first came into the UFC, but now looks to have found his feet. People that train with him talk so highly of this guy, but I'm still going with Drakkar Close, and I'm going by decision.
I am going close by decision as well. And we might as well crack out the carpool line because Sly hasn't picked for this fight, but he will.
He's gone for yeah. Well done, Sly. Wait, has he put it on a lower pick? No. Nope, he just missed this one off. He's got a pick for a Ferreira. Is there even a Ferreira on this card?
No, I was thinking was maybe Drakkar supposed to fight for Heya instead.
He's supposed to fight for hair. That's what's happened.
Yeah,
And now he's fighting.
Garcia's
So that
late replacement.
So for the moment, we'll say Sly's pick is a Rafi Garcia finish
By
sub,
DQ.
and he will say fin at KO, but he has the opportunity to change that with us in the group chat. Moving on to the early prelims, and we've got Michael Morales at 13-0 taking on Adam Fugit, who I think might be making his debut, and I'm picking Morales to win this by, what did I say, KO.
You said KO. Wait for it. Sly picked Morales by KO.
KO.
Josh picked. We might as well carpool, fellas. I went KO.
Going in the same direction. Next, we were meant to have Ji Young Kim fighting Maria Agapova. We now have Ji Young Kim fighting Jocelyn Edwards. And this means that my pick has changed from an Agapova sub to a Ji Young Kim decision.
Nice. I'm going to take Edwards by decision. Sly Kim by decision. Hey,
Nice.
one holding out this time.
Couple of fights still to go. Nikolai Nigaramaninin is taking on Ihor Potiera. I don't think I pronounced either name correctly, but we're just going to go with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. Negu Megaranu.
Yeah,
But just go
I
Negu.
just kind of,
He goes by Negu.
I
It's
just,
fine.
I got up to Naguma and then I just kind of mumbled. But
Yeah, I know. I tried to come in and like act like I could do it, but I got as far as Negu and I hit the same hurdle.
even spelling, I didn't want to spell this. As I wrote down for my picks, Nikolai by decision.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna go with the new boy. There's a lot of hype behind him. I'm gonna go Portiera by KO.
Sly is going with me on Nikolai, but he is going by KO. And that takes us to opening fight of the night. Kosuke taking on, some call him Mike Metheta, but really he's known as Blood Diamond. The very fact that nobody calls him by his name and they only refer to him as Blood Diamond is literally the single coolest fucking thing that I've seen in terms of cage names in MMA for a very long time. Like when your cage name is just becomes your name, that is special. I've heard he was an awesome kickboxer. I have worries, great worries in MMA because Justin Wells admittedly is a beast, but from what I've heard, he doesn't seem to be quite the best at not getting taken down. And Kosuke, 7-1, he's well rounded, he's a good fighter, he's more experienced in MMA, maybe not in combat sports, he's younger. I've had to go Kosuke on this one, even though I really wanted to pick a guy called Blood Diamond. And I've gone Kosuke myself.
I thought you were gonna get seduced by the name again. I think I was the only one that went with Wells last time.
It happened last time.
Yeah,
It happened last time. I lost a picture last time because fucking
yeah,
Jeremiah Wells.
yeah. I've gone Kosuke decision as well. Um, Also, like both the Costco brothers, it's like you've got your training partner built in right there. They're both a little bit better than they've been shown in the UFC so far. I'm hoping Orion's going to put it together on this one. And
Nice. And then
Sly,
Sly,
he went with Blood
seduced
Diamond.
by the name, Blood Diamond KO. So that's our picks. Partly, we need to confirm two of Sly's because
Yeah,
situations have changed. But guys, leave your own picks in the comments as well. If you do so, you have to do it for every fight. None of this putting five down or just the main card and then being like, well, do you guys have a podcast on it now? The whole fucking fight. It will be appreciated. And yes, we will not just give you a shout out if you leave the comments, if you leave the picks in the comments. You have to actually beat us in the picks to get the shout out, just to confirm, which I
yeah.
don't think has happened yet.
I still appreciate that Tom comes in and just picks for like 2 fights though. Like keep
It's nice
commenting,
that he
Tom.
leaves comments. It's nice that he leaves comments. It's appreciated. So thank you for that. And guys, we hope you enjoy the cards. It's a good pay per view. It's back at stupid o'clock hours. But you know what? The two cards we've had at normal times had bad things happen. So maybe this is a good thing. I'm going to be watching. Josh will be watching Sunday morning. You'll be watching whenever you are. We'll be breaking everything down next week on the podcast. And as always, we'll be leaving with Bye Dave, Bye Laurie, Bye Sean.
Bye, Laurie. Bye, Dave.